The intro to Daveland is dark and intense. You see me begin to understand this mysterious voice that's invaded my life. However, the remainder of the book takes a lighter tone as I deconstruct Dave. I consider Daveland to be darkly humorous, a story about a successful researcher who falls off the edge of the planet. I sell my home and everything I own to move to a seedy neighborhood in San Francisco to write. But first I take a 6-month trip to South America to chase a little Spanish and tango, only to find something chasing me. It's in South America that I meet Dave, where I'm forced to relive my past. Because Daveland touches on the popular theme of traveling to find oneself, people ask me if Daveland's like Eat, Pray, Love. Maybe if Eat, Pray, Love were written by Chuck Palahniuk. From my earliest memory, I struggled with something that resembled a seizure disorder. It never got properly diagnosed, and I was forced to hide it my entire life. My teachers at the time knew something was wrong, even suggesting I was retarded and sending me to the corner of a loud gym to stare at flashcards laid out by my special teacher. Years later, part of me grew up to teach at the college level and do research and consulting with a group based out of MIT, while another part of me remained the slow kid, sentenced to the corner of the gym. There are a lot of overcoming great adversity stories, and there's an aspect of that here. But this story is about living a double life to mask a nearly invisible disorder that people don't understand and often misinterpret with unintended results. I didn't set out to write a memoir. I wanted to write that humorous travelogue. And that's definitely still a big part of this story, but readers of earlier drafts convinced me otherwise. I told myself if I wrote this, it would be an honest portrayal how many of us struggle with thoughts of suicide, depression, and substance abuse. On the other hand, I also wanted to show the good stuff, the giftedness and the ability to adapt in ways that set us apart. But what I found interesting while doing my research about adults with learning problems is what goes on inside our heads. That's where Dave comes in. Dave isn't a real person, and the only delusions I suffer from are self-inflicted. However, I came to realize that Dave represented more reality than I could articulate without him. In fact, I couldn't tell this story without him, and I think there may be a little Dave in all of us. In this respect, it's everyone's story. On the other hand, Jude is flesh and blood and represents all that's right and tragic about teachers and teaching in this country. Ironically, I married a specialist in learning disabilities, or differences. Both words are really insufficient to describe this issue. Early in our marriage, she confronted me to get diagnosed and then became an Anne Sullivan-like character with the predictable negative results for our relationship. Ours is an example of how these problems impact relationships over time, and it's an example of how real love can endure when the relationship doesn't. The most important character may be South America. Argentina, Buenos Aires, Chile, Iguazu, Tierra del Fuego, Patagonia, and El Chaltén. Travel can provide insight if you're open, and all these places became a player in my discovery. As I stumbled through Spanish and tango, my foundation became less certain, and Dave found a window to show me me. I realized that putting a book out there to support a community who's known for having reading problems would be perverse. Audiobooks are usually an afterthought, and that's unfair to those of us who rely on our ears more than our eyes. I have experience as a musician and with sound, so I did the unthinkable in the publishing world, launched Daveland first as an audiobook. But what I learned in doing this is that sound gave me a dimension to work with to bring the experience more vividly to the reader, or in this case, the listener. I pulled together some musician friends to record specific riffs and collected donated tracks off the streets, and from all over the world actually. Military symphonies playing the classics to a klezmer punk band from Santa Cruz, a classical pianist in Australia, and a choral ensemble from Switzerland. Then I harvested sounds specific to this story with the support of hundreds of stock sound effects. It's radio theater. It's literature meeting the new media. It's Daveland.